Welcome back to my channel.
Today we're watching that.
Just kidding, we're not pulling teeth. We're talking about youth gun safety. And I have these two to help about it. Now, why talk about youth gun safety? Because if you're going to have guns, you need to be safe, especially if you have kids in the house. And kids, even more than adults, are going to be curious about things around them. If they see a gun and they haven't been educated, they might pick it up and start playing around with it. Is that a good idea? And why isn't that not a good idea?
Because it'll kill you.
It could kill you. It could. And so to curb their curiosity, it's good to expose them to guns, to allow them in a safe manner, in a safe situation, to handle them and teach them the rules from as young as these two kids are on up. And to grow up with a functional understanding that guns are not toys. So when we have this little toy here, what is this? What's this?
A Nerf gun.
Nerf gun. And is this okay to shoot at people?
No.
Well, this one actually is, because this is not a real gun. You can still maybe hurt someone if you hit them in the eye with a Nerf dart.
Yep.
So you do still have to be careful. But you can actually shoot people with this, and it's just for fun. But this is not a real gun. This is a toy. However, what about this one?
A real one.
Is this a real gun or a toy gun?
A real gun. Yep.
Yeah. So if you see this sitting here, what should you do?
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. And if you're at a friend's house and you see that they found one of their parents' guns, but their parents aren't around, is it okay to play with a real gun like that?
No.
Alright. Let's put this away for now.
Yep.
We'll bring this back later and talk about some ways to safely keep your guns. When you aren't with your kids, if you don't have your guns secured, which you should, but if they're able to get their hands on them, but they've had some exposure in a safe way to guns, hopefully they won't point it in a dangerous direction at themselves or others. But that takes us right into the rules. So we each practiced a rule.
Yep.
Yeah, what's your rule? What's the rule that you remembered for the video?
Keep the gun loaded.
Keep the gun loaded.
No.
No.
Every gun.
Every gun is loaded.
Every gun is loaded. I'm glad you did that on the video. No, you have to treat every gun as it's loaded. We'll get this one back out here. Making sure it's all empty. And it is. Mags out. Pointing at nobody, just so you know. Empty. But even though we've just shown that this gun is not loaded, has no bullets in it, are you going to pick it up and play with it?
Nope.
Because it can still maybe hurt you. You don't know if there's bullets in there. Maybe you missed one.
Yes.
So you still have to treat it like every gun is loaded.
Yep.
Now this one happens to not be, but it is. Every gun is loaded. What was your rule? Come on.
Don't put your finger on the trigger.
Yeah, she said don't put your finger on the trigger. Now the rule is, until you are ready to shoot at something that you're willing to destroy. If you're pointing at a target, when you're ready to be able to take your shot, you can put your finger on the trigger, and it's pointed in a safe direction. Is another rule. You always have to know what's around you, because you don't want to accidentally shoot somebody that you don't see down past your target, and you don't want to move the gun around like this, because if someone's behind you or beside you, you might end up getting them. So you always want to keep your gun pointed in a safe direction and keep your finger off the trigger.
Yeah.
Right. And again, we've said not handling guns without an adult. So every gun's loaded. That covers basic rules. Now moving on to how to help them learn. With Nerf guns like this, a toy, some of these have sights to where you can get the most basic idea of aiming. But BB guns might be another good step. Again though, BB guns are guns and you need to be safe with them and follow these rules. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So the BB gun will have a sight and you can have that's something more their size perhaps if you get a shorter one or if it's a handgun. And they can learn some basics of safe handling on there. And then that or 22. A lot of people start on 22s, and both of these kids have shot 22s, pistols and rifles. And I, of course, was holding it with them because this one's not quite big enough to reach triggers, but this girl is. And you like shooting?
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun. But I would hold their hands because they're not big enough to safely handle it alone. And I was, of course, with them to make sure the operation was safe. 22 guns are good starters because they don't have a lot of recoil either, so it's not going to be too much of a physical force for them to handle. With proper ear protection, it's not going to be too loud for them. Like the big guns. You like those ARs? She doesn't. Now, a few things to keep guns safe. A lot of guns will come with locks like this, a cable lock. I don't know. I haven't used this one, obviously. I have quite a few of those. Every now and then, Ruger does this, I've noticed, where they have pretty good quality looking Master Lock style padlocks. And you can loop that through. If you have a pistol case like this, cheap basic one, I think this was $5 maybe. Some of these will have holes in here you can work that cable through, and they might be able to get a handle on this, but they won't be able, if it's locked up, they won't be able to open it and get to the pistols. Another pistol safe, something like this, where it has a key operation and a pattern that you can set with the fingers, and obviously you don't want to tell the kids the code, so don't look. Okay, it opens up nice and quick, and when you're needing to get a hold of a gun, if there's a home invader or whatever emergency situation you have, you're able to get it safely. You don't have to worry about the kids having access to it. Even if they get a hold of this, if you don't have it attached to a surface, if they can move it around, they still can't get into the safe and get the guns out. I've pulled this out again. Oop. Let's go ahead and check this, just because you always want to check just to be safe before you're handling it. There's nothing in there, see? No bullets in there. Alright. Having holsters. I sometimes will even keep a holster on a pistol when it's in the safe. Certainly if you're carrying it, if you're pocket carrying, or if you're carrying it in a purse, it's especially helpful to have a good holster that will cover the trigger guard in here, so that if this is fumbling around in a bag, if keys are getting on it or whatever is in your bag or your pocket, you can't get into the trigger and pull it to where it'll accidentally fire off. Not all holsters are going to provide that, so the cheaper ones, like the cheapest of the cheap, you might need to consider spending a little bit more, and it doesn't take much. Like a holster like this, custom made, is not even going to be $50. It's not too bad, and certainly considering the importance of gun safety, you're going to want to do that. Who wants to go shooting?
Me.
Okay.
I'm going shooting.
Alright.